Peace, peace. Peace to the family. This is 2019. We're on a Saturday, July 20th. We back at you. Y'all see on the screen, you got the Grand Sheikh, Clifford, Jefferson, Bay from the House of Geoffrey. We're going to come back with you on this one right here. This video right here is Come Home to the True Orthodox Church of England. And the Grand Sheikh going to break it down to you on the origin of the true church of England. So Grand Sheikh, without further ado, go ahead and break that down.
Peace, 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 my noble family. I am the Assistant Grand Sheikh from the House of Geoffrey, from the House of Planting. Once again, disclosure, I do social procedures, so I might slur a little bit, but that's because, like in the Hobbits, my ancestors are constantly speaking to me. And I only come to reveal what it is that's bestowed upon me, because it's my obligation. As you know, it's a saying that it's better you to not notice than to notice and not follow. So I'm here today just to give you a clear understanding of who you are here in what we so-called Islamic North America. We're not in North America, brother. You are in England. Now, I can only be concerned to my present dominion or territory, which is called modernly New Jersey. But brothers and sisters, this is not New Jersey. It's actually called Jersey, Channel Island, Beverwick of Jersey, Guernsey, whatever you want to call it. This is England you're standing on. And I, as your Grand Sheikh, is going to prove it once and for all. Because I'm not going to tell you it, I'm going to let them tell you. Because they are the best conveyors, because they're the ones that have the ability to do in-depth research. I was sent here, or divinely sent here, to interpret what it is that they so-called reveal to you as the history of who you are as a people. Noble Ali said, don't throw away your last name, but the Europeans are going to have to pay back in compound interest for what they did to our ancestors in the time during slavery. But let's rewind. I was trying to, in my previous videos, to start from the beginning to the present. But I think it would be better for you to start from the present to take you back into the past. So you'll be able to embrace and fully understand that you are a great people. We need order, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to give you the order. Now, once again, it's a saying, it's better you to not notice than to notice and not follow, because you will be judged accordingly. Islam, peace, hotep, whatever you want to say, I'm about to restore peace in this land. Let's get to it. Okay, we understand right now that we're under a British monarch system, who's ruled by Queen Elizabeth II. So we want to get an understanding of the British monarch system. And we're going to start with the coronation of the British monarch system, because that's going to give us the ability to understand what coronation means, or what it is about, what it's about. So look up behind me. You notice that the title is called The Coronation of the British Monarch System. Now, before we even get into the understanding of the British monarch system, we have to understand the origin where it stems from. Before we had the British monarch system, i.e. the United Kingdom, it was first given its authority by what they call the House of Hanover, which was created by King George I, who got their authority from the House of Hanover from Queen Anne, which was from the House of England, which ruled from 927 to 1714 AD, in the year of our Lord. So let's get to it, brothers and sisters. It says the coronation of the British monarch system is a ceremony, specifically initiation rites, in which the monarch of the United Kingdom is formally invested with regalia and crowned at Westminster Abbey. It corresponds to the coronation that formerly took place in other European monarchies, all of which have abandoned coronation in favor of inauguration or enthronement ceremonies. The coronation usually takes place several months after the death of the previous monarch, as it is considered a joyous occasion that will be inappropriate with mourning while mourning continues. This interval also gives the planners enough time to complete the elaborate arrangement required. For example, Queen Elizabeth II was crowned on the 2nd of June 1953, having ascended the throne on the 6th of February in 1952. The date of her coronation was announced almost a year in advance in preparation inside the Abbey, which took 5 months. Now, Abbey means church. And you notice they're talking about Queen Elizabeth II. She got her authority from King George. King George III, of course, one of them. And they were from the House of Hanover. Now, she controls what they call the United Kingdom. So now her father was King George VI. Look it up, brothers and sisters. We gonna look it up, but look it up for your own research so that you won't act like I'm just talking. I'm letting them show you the true facts. But let's go and find out the origin of where coronation is started from. Let's go down the history. The development of the English coronation. Now you notice it didn't say British monarch English coronation. It said English. Key point. It said English. The development of the English coronation. On to your right, or if you use it on your phone, it should be on top of it. But if you look to the right, you see it's called the British Tapestry, which is a history or a document that goes back to the Middle Ages of the historical history pertaining to the land and its monarchs, i.e. their kings. But as you read the first paragraph on the development of the English coronation, it says the main elements of the coronation services and the earliest form of oath can be traced to the ceremony devised by St. Dunstan for Ager's coronation in 973 at Bath Abbey. It drew on ceremonies used by the kings of the French and those used in the ordinations of bishops. So it tells you that the origin of the coronation of the British monarch lied in the English coronation, which was established by St. Dunstan and for the King Edgar. He was the first original king of England. He ruled from 959 to 973. He was born in 943. This is an Asiatic brother who was actually called Jesus Christ, according to their historical record. Mind you, the brother looked just like me. And if you look at me in my previous lectures, he got dreadlocks that look just like mine. But as you can see, I shaved mine off because I didn't resurrect it from the tomb. Because in these previous lectures that we're going to do, I'm going to prove to you that I am he who said that would come, to reveal the message that was sent by many to do, but only those who were sent to do it when they came to do it, because the Creator had me to be chosen. I am the Son of Man, what you call Jesus Christ, and I come back for my lost sheep who are bound to the Church of England, which was created by what they called the Lord Jesus Christ. The Lord Jesus Christ was King Edgar the People, who ruled the Church of England from 959 to 973. Then it was stolen by Norman France. Let's get into this history, brother and sister. So we know that Queen Elizabeth II was coronated and she rules the United Kingdom. Let's find out who her father was, King George VI. Now I'm going to stick and move, brothers and sisters, because for the sake of time. So I'm going to draw you an outline, and it's up to you to fill in the blanks. But we understand that, as I said just a second ago, that you first had the King of England that was ruled from 927 to 1702, which was ruled by, what's his name? Give me a second, I got a lot up there, brothers and sisters. What's the brother's name? What's the brother's name? Dark-skinned, Edmund the First. Give me a second, brothers and sisters. I got a lot there in my mind. The Kingdom of England was ruled by 927 by Ashlatan. Look up Ashlatan, spelled A-S-L-A-T-A-N. And his kingdom ruled from 927 all the way up to Queen Anne, who was the great niece of King James, the one who wrote your Bible. The one you read today in church, he wrote your Bible for the so-called Jews who are us. We're the so-called Jews. because the first mention of Jews was created in 1066 by William the Conqueror, who are the Norman French, who invaded England and overthrew the kings who were the actual Berbers, who first king was who? King Edward the Peaceful. So let's look up King George VI on Wikipedia. King George VI was the king of the United Kingdom and the dominions of the British Commonwealth from the 11th of December 1936 until his death on the 6th of February 1952. He was the last emperor of India and the first of the head of the Commonwealth. So as you can see, he was a part of the United Kingdom. He was the father of Queen Elizabeth II, who got their authority from King George. If you had a King George VI, you know they had to have a King George I, right? It makes only common sense. Let's have a King George I. Okay, so we understand that the one who's the United Kingdom now, which is called Queen Elizabeth II, father was King George VI, who descended down from King George I. Let's find out who King George I was. Type it in, brothers and sisters. Go. Now remember, we spoke about the coronation of the British monarch system, which origin lied in the England monarch system, which first king was King Edward the Peaceful. Now if we look at the British monarch system under Queen Elizabeth II, whose father was King George VI, who descended down from King George I. Now look who this guy was. It says King George I of Great Britain was King of Great Britain and Ireland from 1st of August 1714. Is when it passed from the Kingdom of England to the Kingdom of Britain. Because you first had the Kingdom of England, then the Kingdom of Britain, then the United Kingdom, which is ruling to this day. So it says King George I was the King of Britain and Ireland from 1st of August 1714 and ruler of the Duchy and Electorate of Brunswick, of Luxembourg, of Hanover, and the Holy Roman Empire from the 23rd of January 1698 until his death in 1727. Hold up. How could he be of the Roman Empire? Because the Roman Empire, according to the Bible, was back in BC. How could you have a Roman Empire in AD when they both existed in BC? And the Gregorian calendar that tells the story of the biblical era, BC was not created until 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII, who was descended from a line of Pope Gregory I, who had the Gregorian reform, which changed the calendars, my brothers and sisters. They switched dates with you. But we're going to show you where they switched the dates at, because it says King George was from Great Britain. Remember, it's passed from the Kingdom of England from 927 to 1714. Now, all of a sudden, now it's ruled by Britain, whose ruler was King George from the House of Hanover from the Roman Empire. Now, what does it mean to hand over, brothers and sisters?
They hand over.
It means to pass up.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Who did they pass it to? United Kingdom.
Yep.
Right? So now, we want to find out, how did they get this? How did our state, because the Anglo-Saxon Berbers were 5 living in England, but somehow we got expelled from England, and now somebody else is occupying what we call England. And in reality, you're in England, my brothers and sisters. Because the history of Britain starts with Brutus of Troy, which invaded what they call Albion. If you took the map of the North America with Africa and Europe, it would fit flush like a puzzle. It's called Pangea. It means whole earth. If you look at New Brunswick, it's on the 40-degree latitude line. The equator is on the latitude line of 35 degrees. So we are closer to the equator. So now, if you look at the Pangea in North New Jersey, it will still be on the 40 degrees latitude. Even now the earth has broken off or spread apart, it still is on a 40 degrees latitude. I gotta tell you something, brothers and sisters, because if you look at North America on the Atlantic coast, if you put it together, it will fit flush with the north coast of North Africa, which was composed of Berber tribes. This is why Ivan Van Sertima said that they had the same languages, the same facial structures. And you notice, and the Olmec means old Mexicans. That's what that means. And they had statues of people with big lips, as well as statues of Chinese people. Got a question: what did the Chinese statues be dealing with the so-called Olmec? Why? Because the first Berber king and the 22nd dynasty of what we misnomer as Egypt was named Shushin. In the biblical book created by King James in 1611, his name was called Sheikh. They wrote your story in prophetic terms, because the book of Revelation don't mean apocalypse. It means revealing. So what it is, I'm revealing the revelation that was hidden in the book written by King James according to the history of the kings and queens of England. And Noble Ali said, you are kings and queens of England. He didn't say we were Muslims, we were Sheikhs. He said you were kings and queens of England. Look in the Hadith, I think it's verse 89 and 85, somewhere between those verses of the oracle statement, they would tell you that he would say that we were kings and queens of England. And according to historical fact, the only time I heard that term, kings and queens of England, was in so-called, what they misnomer as England, which is actually England today. Because it said British colonized what we call England. Because England, what we're in today here, is called Belgium of Jersey. Because when it broke off, when Norman Fritz was taken over by William the Conqueror, it was restored by Geoffrey V, Viscount of what we call the Plantagenets. He was the House of Plantagenets, Viscount of Anjou, which is you control all the so-called islands, Channel Islands, which we're in what we call Belgium of Jersey, which is Channel Islands, because the north coast of Atlantic coast is called Norman. Why is it called Norman? Let's get back into the historical fact. We understand that Queen Elizabeth II was the daughter of Queen George VI, who descended down from King George I, who got their authority or their estate from the House of England under the authority of Queen Anne. And now British is running things. Why are they running things? Let's find out why. Now we understand, look up, we're going to go and find out what they call the province of New Jersey. The province of New Jersey, which is right here, my brothers and sisters. Province of New Jersey. The province of Jersey was one of the middle colonies of colonial America and became what we call New Jersey today, a state of the United States in 1783. The province had originally been settled by Europeans as part of New Netherland, but came under English rule after the surrender of Fort Amsterdam in 1664, becoming a proprietary colony. What does proprietary colony mean? It's been given or landed out to some so-called corporation. Somebody is being lent some particular estate to do business on.
Foreign,
whatever case you want to call it.
Yeah.
It says became a proprietary colony. The English then renamed the province after the Isles of Jersey and the English Channel. We call it Belgium of Jersey. That's our name for it. When we open up, you see me sitting behind a flag. That's the flag of Belgium of Jersey, which in this day and time is called New Jersey. Let's read and qualify that. They said on the Isles of Jersey and the English Channel. The Dutch Republic reasserted control for a brief period in 1673 and 1674. After that, it consisted of two political divisions, East Jersey and West Jersey, until they were united as a royal colony in 1702. Who was this done by? Queen Anne. Who was Queen Anne? She was the niece of King James, the one who wrote the Bible. And there wasn't no state, because the state wasn't incorporated yet. It was still under the House of England, which was under the authority of the Church of England. It said that after that, it consisted of two political divisions, East Jersey and West Jersey, until they were united as a royal colony in 1702. The original boundaries of the province was slightly larger than the current state, extending into a part of the present state of New York, until the border was finalized in 1773. You see province of New Jersey? As you scroll down, it says that, let's go a little deeper, brothers and sisters. You see the legislature, council, or the General Assembly. Let's tap that right quick. That's the New Jersey General Assembly. Now, what it says again? Council or General Assembly, which is New Jersey Assembly. Let's go into understand what that origin comes from. It's called the proprietary government, Lord Proprietaires. Remember in 1702, it was given to some proprietors. I said in March 1664, King Charles II granted his brother James, Duke of York. It's the descendant of King James, the one who wrote your Bible. A royal colony that covered New Netherland. This is what New Jersey was called before it was called New Jersey. It was called New Netherland. New Netherland. And present-day Maine. This charter also included parts of the present-day Massachusetts, which conflicted with the colony's charter. The charter allowed James, i.e. King James, traditional proprietary rights and imposed few restrictions upon his powers. Let's go a little further. Okay. Later in 1664, the Duke of York gave part of his new possessions between the Hudson River and the Delaware River to Sir George Carteret in exchange for a settlement of a debt. A settlement of a debt. I hope y'all hearing that, my brothers and sisters.
Wow.
It says the territory was named after the island of Jersey, i.e. Belwick of Jersey. That same flag you see me sitting under when we first started this lecture. Carteret ancestor was home. No, that's not an ancestral home. He just took on our birth name. He took on our identity as English national because they're not. The other section of New Jersey was sold to Lord Berkeley of Stratton, who was close friend of the Duke, i.e. Duke of York, descended from King James, the one who wrote the Bible, which from what they call, what's the name of the house? The House of Stuart. That was King James' house. It was called the House of Stuart. As a result, Carteret and Berkeley became two English lower properties of New Jersey. The two properties of New Jersey attempted to attract more settlers. If it means more settlers, that means they wasn't from there, right? So how could they claim to be descendants when they were settling there? Settler means you're a foreigner. These are things you gotta look out. You just can't be reading something, brothers and sisters. You gotta pick this stuff out.
That's right. That's right.
Because they mix truths with lies, television, telling lies, visual. It says the two properties of New Jersey attempted. They didn't do it. They attempted to settle or attract more settlers to move to the province by granting sections of the land, i.e. deeds, to settlers and by passing the concession agreement, a 1665 document that granted religious freedom to all inhabitants of New Jersey. It said granted.
You hear that?
Religious freedom.
It means to convey, to give.
Convey it, to give it.
Exactly.
It wasn't a substantive or customary right.
Correct.
They gave it to them.
Exactly.
Now watch what it said. Listen close. Please listen close. My Hebrew Israelites, my Moors, my Christian brothers and sisters, all those who claim to be any identity other than English national. It clearly says that the two properties of New Jersey, who named it New Jersey, before that it was called Jersey, Channel Island, Guernsey, or Belwick of Jersey, which is under the authority of the Church of England, i.e. under the laws of canon law of Westminster Abbey. It says that the granted the land section to settlers and by passing the concession agreement, a 1665 document that granted religious freedom to all inhabitants of New Jersey. Under the British government, I'm going to say this again, it says under the British government, there was no such religious freedom as the Church of England was the state church. Did y'all understand that? I'm going to read that part again. It says that a 1665 document that granted religious freedom to all inhabitants of New Jersey. Who are these people inhabitants? The British. They're talking about. Because prior to the British colonizing America, it was only English here. Mm-hmm. Right? Because King James and Queen Anne gave charters out.
Correct.
To Lord John Berkeley and George Carteret.
Correct.
But they claimed to be English nationals, but yet they given it to settlers who colonized the land, i.e. foreigners. Right? By way of concession agreement, which is called quiet rent. What is quiet rent? It means you got to pay taxes.
That's right. That's right.
You got to pay a fee.
You're not an heir.
You're not an heir. So it says that there was no such religious freedom as the Church of England was the state church. So this is why British separate church from state. Right? This is why they do it. We're going to find out that that was not how it's supposed to be. Why? Let's go to the next paragraph. No, let's not go to the paragraph. We just read about New Jersey provincial, we read about the province of New Jersey, the province of New Jersey. Now let's go to the legislation that was governing the province of New Jersey. It's called New Jersey Provincial Council. Let's go there, my brothers and sisters. I'm about to shock the world with this one. New Jersey Provisional Council was the upper house of the New Jersey legislature under the colonial rule until it was replaced by the New Jersey Legislative Council under the New Jersey Constitution of 1776. So that means that the laws that I can't be concerned about no other state right now. I'm only concerned about my state, New Jersey state, where if it wasn't for New Jersey, there will be no other state in the union.
This is the only
the only real true state union. Because the state is the estate of our state passed down by our loyal ancestors who King James was. And everybody knows he was a Virgil. He was no European. Okay. So it says, looking to your right, my brothers and sisters, it says New Jersey Council. I'm going to point my finger so you can follow along. Y'all see that? My finger showing up, my brothers. Is it showing up on the screen?
No.
Okay. But y'all see it says New Jersey Provincial Council. Type upper house of New Jersey legislature. Leadership, president of the council, various members. Structure, seat, 12 members. Political group, local factions. Length of term, indefinite. Authority, the crown. It didn't say state. It said the crown, because we just read in the province of New Jersey, it said that British had no religious freedom because the authority was on the Church of England, i.e. the state church, or church state, whatever you want to say it. We're going to prove it because when the instructions were given by Queen Anne, which at that particular time was called the Church of England, she gave authority to the first governor of New Jersey, Mr. Scott Cornbury, which she's about to read right now. But we just read it was on the authority of the crown. Let's go to history. Okay. It says right here, history. Listen, brothers and sisters, you need historical facts, because historical facts is law. And we just read that law, or i.e. New Jersey state legislation, which creates the law that the governor signs off and sends them to London. I didn't say it, they're about to say it right now. The Provincial Council was established in 1702 upon the surrender of the profiteers. That's why I said they tried to, but they did not succeed. Because Queen Anne wasn't having it. She said, upon the surrender of the profiteers of East Jersey and those of West Jersey, of the right of government to Queen Anne, Anne's government united the two colonies as the province of New Jersey. A royal colony established a new system of government. The instructions from Queen Anne to Viscount Cornbury, the first royal governor of New Jersey, outlined a fusion of power system which allowed for an overlap of executive, legislative, and judicial authority. It provided for a bicameral legislature consisting of the council and the general assembly. Why? Because who authority is under? The crown. Who crown was it? The Kingdom of England, until it passed to the British monarch system, which was under King George, which Queen Elizabeth II came down from. So they're not the rightful owners of the state, my brothers and sisters. We are. The Belwick of Jersey and the Jerseyans, that's us. Why? Because we have the English descent last name. Now let's go and prove that even more. Let's get real bad. Because we understand that King George was from the what? House of Hanover under the Roman house, the Roman Republic. So let's look at this. Check this out, brothers and sisters. Now let's look at Clovis the First. First, let's look at the fleur-de-lis. Because the fleur-de-lis is symbolic of Geoffrey, my family house. Fleur-de-lis is actually called the flower. The word flower in Latin means fleur, F-L-E-U-R, and the lis means lily or flower. Now this was Jesus' favorite flower, the fleur-de-lis. This was also a flower that descended all the way back to the Middle Ages. We're going to prove it. This is the fleur-de-lis, or fleur-de-lis. It's a styled lily. French fleur means flower and lis means lily. That is used as a decorative design motif. Many of the Catholic saints of France, now we go back to William the Conqueror, or Normandy. It's where French come in, because before it was called Normandy French, it was the authority of England. We went through that in my previous videos. I hope you brothers and sisters watched it. It said, Saint Joseph and depicted with the lily of St. France as historical castigation. The fleur-de-lis it became at one the same time religious, political, and dynastic, artistic, emblematic, and symbolic, especially in French heraldry. Let's go down to usage. Let me just find out what I'm looking for, brother. Go look for it. Give me a second. It says here. You see right here? It says, you see that immortus? That's showing immortus? You see that one? The last thing on the screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. It says immortus. Now we're talking about the fleur-de-lis. It says immortus, slaves were branded with fleur-de-lis when becoming punished for escaping or stealing food. Now if you look at the word mortis, it's a Latin term. And the name Maurice comes from the word Moritus. And the word Maurice is comes from the English word more. And it said Moritus were slaves were branded with the fleur-de-lis in their arm. So how could a Moor be a slave if y'all saying y'all free men? Because it's telling you right here that the Moors, in the Latin term means Maurice, were branded with this symbol when they tried to escape. So who they were enslaved by? Rome. Because Jesus said, "Enter under to God with God, there was Caesar, and Caesar was a Roman god." Right? So now it says that immortal slaves were branded with the fleur-de-lis when being punished for escaping and stealing food. Let's go a little deeper. Origin. And so the fleur-de-lis is a wide thought to be style version of species Iris pseudocaris and Iris florienta. Before we go into the symbol, I'm going to find out what goes into reference to Jesus Christ, the so-called myth of Jesus Christ. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna... Okay. Symbolic in religion and art. It said in the Middle Ages, the symbol of lily and fleur-de-lis overlapped considerably in Christian religious art. Michael Centuri Pastore, a historian, forgive me if I said the word wrong. A historian said that until about 1300, they were found in depictions of Jesus, but gradually they took on Marian symbolism and were associated with the Songs of Solomon, lily among thorns, understood as a reference to Mary. Other scriptures and religious literature in which the lily symbolized purity and chastity also helped establish the flower as an iconographic attribute of the Virgin, and it was also believed that the fleur-de-lis represented the Holy Trinity. If you hear that, so they associating the fleur-de-lis with Jesus and Mary, and Jesus was the so-called Son of God. Am I right? Of course, let's go back up to this flower. It's simple right here. What they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Or a painting. How that phrase go? Somebody don't want me to show y'all that. Huh? Let me close out. Come on. Give me brothers and sisters. Stuff don't want me to. Oh, here we go. All right. So now, you see the angels, right, brothers and sisters? This so-called Middle Age painting. Once again, they didn't have flags back then. They had coats of arms and shields. So you see, it says right here, this is Clovis being handled a banner with a fleur-de-lis. As you can see, the same banner he's holding was the same banner passed down by this angel who's apparently is in heaven and handing it down. So let's go back out and see who is this person receiving this so-called banner of fleur-de-lis, which is associated with Jesus Christ and the Holy Trinity. Right? Let's go out of here. Now, y'all didn't see the blow up. It says right here. It says the 15th century manuscript illumination of an angel sending the fleur-de-lis to Clovis from Bedford Hours in the British Library of London. Okay. It said an angel passing the fleur-de-lis to Clovis. So that's, if you can look into that picture, that's telling you that Clovis is associated with God. Right? That's what, if I was ignorant and I see an angel passing something down to somebody bearing the symbol of fleur-de-lis, which is associated with Jesus Christ, I would associate that with the family of God or with the Church of England, right? Because the Church of England was created by Jesus Christ, for the lack of a better name. Okay, so now, I want to research who was this Clovis? Let's find out who he was. Clovis was the first king of France to unite all the Frankish tribes under one ruler, changing the form of leadership from a group of world chieftains to rule by a single king and ensuring that the kingship was passed down to his heirs. Give me a second, brothers and sisters. Forgive me. Changing the form of leadership from a group of world chieftains to rule by a single king and ensuring that the kingship was passed down to his heirs. He is considered to have been the founder of the Merovingian dynasty, which ruled the Frankish kingdom for the next 2 centuries. Okay. So it says Clovis was the founder of the Merovingian dynasty. So that means that the Merovingian dynasty was founded by Clovis. The first must have been associated with God's family. Because we see him in the picture we've seen before, being handing down a banner with the Anju, which is associated with Jesus Christ. In reference to the Holy Trinity and Mary, who birthed Jesus, right? Passed it down. So one would figure that the Merovingian dynasty must be associated also with God's family, or God's children, or God's kingdom. However you want to interpret it, Clovis the first must have something to do with it. But he was the founder of the Merovingian dynasty. Let's click that. Who was the Merovingian dynasty? Let's find out what these people are. The Merovingian dynasty, well, if I'm saying it won't forgive me, was the ruling family of France from the middle of the 5th century until 751. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. The first appeared as a king of the Franks in the Roman army of northern Gaul. By 509, they had united the Franks and northern Gaulish Roman under their rule. They conquered most of Gaul, defeating the Visigoths, Vikings, and the Burgundians, blah, 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 blah. It says the term Merovingian comes from the medieval Latin Merovingi or Merovingi, sons of Merovic, an automation of an unattested Frankish form. You hear that? Unattested. What does it mean, brother, just to be unattested? Nobody has challenged it.
Yep.
Why has nobody challenged it? We got all these so-called great leaders, great researchers, great historians, so-called people who led political parties, but yet none have researched the history, don't as far as go back to the time of slavery. He who writes your book sets your timeline. And apparently, Pope Gregory XIII succeeded. Because the only time calendar you're using is that was created in 1582, when the Bible was created in 1611. So that means that somebody had to come back and save you from the misrecording of your history prior to King James coming on the scene, because we're being influenced by invaders, i.e. foreigners, that goes all the way back to Clovis I. Because it clearly said that he claimed to be descended from God's family, but he's about to prove he's not. Check this out, my brothers and sisters.
That's deep, because it says right there, an alteration of an
Say that again, brother. Read it, say it loud.
I said that's very deep right there, because it says right there, an alteration of an unattested Frankish form, and then akin to their dynasties. Old English.
Old English.
You hear that?
You hear that, brothers and sisters? The dynasty of Old English.
Old English.
So
It's taking it right back to where it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
And it tell you right there that an alteration of an unattested Frankish form.
You see how my chancellors and my solicitors, they are been taught to be able to point that out. Most of us weave right over that. But it said alternate, unattested form of Old English dynasty.
And when you go a little further, it tell you that it take you back to Anglo-Saxon.
Let's read it. He said it take you back. But let's read it for ourselves. It says, an alteration of an unattested Frankish form, a king to their dynasty of Old English name, Mirabel, however you pronounce it, with the finaling being a typical Germanic patronymic suffix. The name derives from the possibly legendary King Mirabel. Unlike the Anglo-Saxon royal genealogy, Lissamore, the Merovingians never claimed to descend from God, nor is there evidence that they were regarded as sacred. I know a lot of y'all like this right now.
Yeah, it's going over their head.
If y'all baby going like that, because you ain't catching this, brother, that means that you are zombies.
Mm-hmm.
You are the walking dead.
Mm-hmm.
You're under the authority of what they call in the Bible, Lazarus. You're under the dead state of what they call the Order of St. Lazarus, created by St. Maurice. What did we say St. Maurice was? It said that those who tried to escape were branded with that fleur de lis in the term of mortis. Mm-hmm. Now let's look up St. Maurice. Let's look it up, brother.
And in that same verse, it gets even deeper too. That he just had up. It talks about Merovingians, how they had the long hair. It gets deep.
Okay, brothers and sisters. St. Maurice was the leader of a legendary Roman Devon legion in the 3rd century and one of the favorites and most widely venerated saints of that group. He was the patron saint in several professions, locales, and kingdoms. He also a highly revered saint in the Coptic Orthodox brother and sister means true, Church of Alexandria, and the Church of Oriental Orthodoxy. Now, look to my right under the picture of St. Maurice. Who you see him with white gloves on, right? Standing in front of a European Pope. Now, look down, it says St. Maurice by Matthew Grewal, 60th century, born 3rd century, Devon, Egypt, and died in 287 AD. I'm about to scratch your head again, brothers. It said, Major Shrine, Abbey of St. Maurice. Okay, it says Abbey of St. Maurice. Attributes. Let's go down a little further. Order of Saints Maurice and Lazarus. Do y'all see that, brothers and sisters? It says St. Maurice, he was born at what time? 3rd century to 287 AD. Now he's taking the part of an order called Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus. So now we said Maurice or Maurices were slaves being branded. They tried to escape. They had that banner put on their arm, right? But we associated the fleur de lis with God's family, which goes back to Anglo-Saxon and not Rome, which created by Clovis I, which part of the Gregorian dynasty, which clearly stated that they were not part of God's family, nor was there any sacred evidence to support that story. So now let's go back to Maurice. Maurice was St. Maurice was from the Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus, and as you see him standing from a European Pope with a halo around his head, right? See him with the European with a halo around his head, and St. Maurice with a halo around his head. But how could they both have a halo around their head when it says that they were part of what they call Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus? Now, according to the Bible, wasn't Lazarus raised from the dead? Means he was unconscious. So let's look at Order of St. Maurice. Now I'm about to show you how unconscious all y'all brothers and sisters are. Now, when was he born? 3rd century, and when did he die? 287 BC AD? When St. Maurice died, let's go back to make sure that I don't want to be cold. He died in the 3rd century, born in 3rd century BC, birth calendar, before Christ, and died in AD 287, and Annos Donos, which means in the year of our Lord. So that means Jesus Christ, the so-called Jesus Christ, was walking down here on earth. Because if you're part of the so-called Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus, if he raised from the dead, that means that Lazarus is down with him too. Okay, so let's see what Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus, or who created the Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus. The Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus is a Roman Catholic dynastic order of knighthood bestowed by the House of Savoy, founded in 1582 by Emmanuel Philip, Duke of Savoy, through amalgamation approved by Pope Gregory XIII. Who created the Gregorian calendar? Pope Gregory XIII. In what year? 1582. Who created this Order of St. Maurice and Lazarus? Pope Gregory XIII. So how in the heck could Lazarus existed in the 3rd century and died in 287 when he was part of this order? That don't make no sense. And he was part of Saint Lazarus, who was raised from the dead by Jesus Christ. So let's look up Moritus, U-R-I-T-U-S, family crest.
Well, they can play with some dates. They can play with some dates. I ain't lying. They changing up dates and everything.
Look at that, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Here we go.
Put it up there.
What was that? We looked at the Maurice. I'm sorry, but give me 1 second.
What family creed? Family crest.
Here we go. French and Welsh history. Houseofnames.com. Maurice history of family crest and coats of arms. Okay, you got a French and Welsh interpretation. Let's go to the Welsh. You ready, Moors? Are you ready, those who call themselves Moors? It says the Maurice, because if you're using or calling yourself a Moor, which is the Latin or term Maurice, then that means you're admitting that you're dead. Because you have not been raised by Jesus Christ. But Jesus Christ never existed. But now you're going to be raised by the true Son of God, who was misnomer of Jesus Christ. Because I am the true person called Jesus Christ, but I'm not. That's not my name. My name is Geoffrey, the King of Peace. Because the word Geoffrey means, before we do that, let me show you. So you won't think I'm just talking trash. Surname Jefferson comes from the son of Geoffrey, a forename meaning peaceful place. The surname is not common in England. How is it not common in England? So where is it common in Africa? Jefferson is more common in America. You hear that? America. It's an English name more common in America and not in Africa. That means that Berger was here in America, which is a misnomer because it's England. It says the third American president. It was recently discovered to have a Y chromosome belonging to the haplogroup group K2. Genetically, study shows that this Y haplogroup group is extremely rare in Europe and is more likely to have come from Northeast Africa or the Middle East. Did you hear that? So what was Jesus called? The King of Peace. So his name was King Geoffrey, the first king or coronated king of England, not the British monarch system, but the English monarch system, was called King Edgar the Peaceful. So his name called the King of Peace. He was the only king that never had any wars in his whole successful reign. He came to rule at the same age as Jesus, at the age of 13. Let's go back now to what he was before. Maurice. It says, You see the coats of arms? Ancient arms. It says the surname comes from Old English personal name, introduced to Britain by the Normans. I'll re-say it again. The Marie surname comes from Old English French personal name, introduced to Britain by the Normans. Who were the creators of the Normans? William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror invaded England in 1066. This is where the term French Normandy comes in, because they overthrew the kingdom. And the last England king from the Kingdom of England was called Edward the Confessor. He was the great-grandson of King Edward the Peaceful. So it says Maurice. The surname comes from an Old English French person name introduced to Britain by the Norman. The Latin name Mauritius. Now we just said the slaves were branded with a fleur-de-lis from Mauritius, who tried to escape. Whoever tried to go back to their understanding of who they were as Berbers were branded with that symbol. Why? Because they know who you were. They would let you know that you were the Jews. They would tell you where the Jews were. We're going to get into that in a second. It says the Latin version was Mauritius. It's also thought that the name may have been taken on as a nickname for a Moor or someone of a dark complexion who was not actually a Moor. Did you hear that? Okay, let's look up Berber family crest.
Go back.
Oh, I'm sorry. My finger's big, brother. All right, brothers and sisters. Berber history family crest on the House of Names. You see that symbol? Those are chevrons. If you see them on officers' coats of arms, that's a chevron. Those three symbols you see in there, that's called the fleur-de-lis. The same symbol that Clovis I said that he was descended down from. That represents the House of Geoffrey. That says Berber. The history of the name Berber begins with the Anglo-Saxon tribe of Britain. It is derived from the baptismal, baptismal comes from the Christian ceremony that Christians do in lieu of Jesus being baptized in the blood of Jesus, right? So the history of the name Berber begins with the Anglo-Saxon tribe of Britain. It is derived from the baptismal name meaning son of Barbara. In some instances, the name may have also been a nickname for someone such as a Moor or Berber who appeared to be of North African heritage. In such a case, the name is a reference to the Barbary coast of North Africa. The English language became standardized in the last 2 centuries, therefore spelling variations are common among the early Anglo-Saxon names. As the form of English language changed, even the spelling of literate people names evolved. Let's go down in history. No, let's not go there. Since we know that the Berber tribes were the Anglo-Saxon tribes living in England, that they were named or misnomer as Moors, which was a term given to us by who? Romans. Under what they call Pope Gregory XIII, who established what they call the order of Saint Lazarus or the Saint Maurice, which we know that were misnomers given for so-called Berbers, as well as because why? They were unconscious, just like Lazarus was, until they were raised from Jesus. Were raised from the dead because they were unconscious, which is what I'm doing today. I'm the so-called Son of Man, raised you from the unconsciousness that was imposed upon you by the fake calendar initiated by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582. Because the only calendar that existed prior to that was under the Julian calendar, was celebrated January the 13th, the day I was born. Yes, the January the 14th is the Julian calendar. Now check this out. We go all day with this, brothers and sisters, all day. Let's get there. This guy. They say that Adam and Eve was created in the year 4156 BC. Once again, they say Adam and Eve were created in the year 4156 BC. Now, the 4156 BC, under the Gregorian calendar, there is no 4156 BC. Why? Because that year was created under what they call the Syrian calendar. Now, let's go to Maurice. Maurice, before we go into this calendar, let's look up Mauritius. Let's go back to Mauritius. Let's type in there. You're going to prove we're not Moors, brothers and sisters. Mauritius, officially Republic of Mauritius, is an island north of the Indian Ocean. The main island of Mauritius is located about 2,000 kilometers off the southeast coast of the African continent. Let's go down a little bit further. History. Okay. This is the island of Mauritius was uninhabited before the first record visited during the Middle Ages. Why does all this stuff always happen in the Middle Ages? They can't go past the Middle Ages. Why? Because there's no evidence to support anything that existed prior to the Middle Ages. They can go create a sculpture, paint a picture, build a monument, but there's no real evidence to support it. Why? Because there's no calendar to support their dates. Why? Because I just told you, according to the biblical references, they said that Adam was created in the year 4156 BC, which was under the authority of the Berber calendar. All right, but it says here, Mauritius was an uninhabited before it first recorded visit during the Middle Ages by Arab settlers who named it Dina Arabi. You see that? Okay, so we understand that the Arabs' origin comes from Mauritius or Maurice, and we know that according to the family crest coat of arms, it was a name given to people who were Moors but were not Moors. They were actually Berbers. So now we understand that the term Maurice was a term given by Arabs, because it said here Maurice was first inhabited by Arabs. All right, so now let's look this back up. If they were inhabited by so-called Arabs, let's go find out. Let's my train of thought for a second. Oh yeah, okay, so they're created by Arabs. Let's go find out about how the so-called story of Adam and Eve was created by so-called foreigners and not by the people of England. Because if you understand English history, you know there was no such thing as Adam and Eve. Because we were the Adam and Eve, or tribes living peacefully amongst ourselves before we were invaded by foreigners, vagabonds, Visigoths, Northmen, Vikings, and so on and so forth. Let's look at the year, what is called the year 595. 595, Berber calendar. The year 595 was the year of the pre-Julian Roman calendar and the Roman Empire. It was known as the year 159 at Urta Condita. The denomination 595 BC for the year has been used since the early medieval period, when the Annos Dominios calendar era became the prevalent method of European for naming year. Now, Annos Dominios means in the year of our Lord. So now, if you look on the millennium in the calendar or the boxes, you notice it says 595 BC in various calendars. It says Gregorian year, 595 BC. But how can it be a Gregorian year when the calendar for Gregorian was not created until 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII? Does that make sense, y'all? Not at all. So if they saying that Adam and Eve was created in the year 1456, but if we look it up in the calendar, there is no year 1456 BC, but the only year that pop up is the year 595 BC, according to the Gregorian year. But if you scroll down, on the year Assyrian calendar, you see the year 4156. These are Arabs, right? But if you scroll up, you see a pharaoh there. Who does it say? Samson II. Who is Samson II? Because the so-called Egyptians only had 26 dynasties of Egypt. And the last dynasty was ruled by Samson III. So let's look up Samson III. Samson II, Samson II, was the king of Sabbath-based 26th dynasty of Egypt for 597 BC. He was the son of Nektu II. So we'll go further. I can do even better, brothers and sisters. Let's go back to England. England's history list. Because you're going to notice that I mentioned here 595 BC, which according to the Arabs, it's 1456, which according to the biblical reference, is when Adam and Eve was created. But that can't be because there was no Gregorian calendar created, because that calendar was not created till 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII. The only calendar that existed prior to that was the Berber calendar, which we use that goes back to the 22nd dynasty of Egypt. How are we going to prove that? Just look it up. Berber calendar. It's called, yeah, let's look it up. Berber calendar. Oh, actually, Yan, wow. This is the Berber New Year, brothers and sisters. Okay. Yan there is the first month of the Berber New Year, or the Berber year used since antiquity by Berbers in North Africa. Its first day corresponds to the first day of January of the Julian calendar, which is shifted 13 days compared to the Gregorian calendar of every year. Now, what is the New Year under the Gregorian calendar? January the 1st. To this day, under the Gregorian calendar, New Year is celebrated January 1st. But prior to the Gregorian calendar being initiated in 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII, New Year was celebrated January the 14th, which is my birthday. I was born on January 14th. So now it says that I ate the 14th of January every year. If you look at that box, now it said Egypt only had 26 dynasties, and Samson III was the last king under the pharaohs of Egypt. Right? It says 3 Berber calendars, also all of them referring to Sheikh. See that symbol right there? That's the Berber symbol. Because 2019 in this day in the Berber year is actually the year 2969 and the Berber calendar. But in the Gregorian calendar, it's the year 2019. So it says right here, 3 Berber calendars, also of them refer to Sheikh. Let's tap that. Sheikh. Sheikh was the name given in English transcription to many. I'm gonna read it again. Is y'all catching on?
I'm catching.
It says, Sheikh, it's commonly spelled Shishon or Shishan or Sheikh, was the name given in English transcription to many ancient Egyptians with Libyan ancestry since the 3rd immediate. Several pharaohs with his name are known, as well as many important state officials. Sheikh the First, founder of the 22nd dynasty, often identified as Sheikh in your Hebrew Bible.
Yeah.
This is when the Jews were given authority by the king. They were on the authority of the king to do whatever they want. Who king was this? In England, it was King Edward the Peaceful. They was on the authority of the king, King Edward the Confessor, which issued what they call the Great Civil Rim. It was the Great Charter. He created it for all those Jews who were expelled from England in 1292. We were expelled because we were being massacred. And all the Jews went to where? Clifford's Tower. Mind you, that's my first name, Clifford. It says, Sheikh the First. Sheikh the First was the pharaoh of ancient Egypt, for the lack of a better word, and the founder of the 26th dynasty of Egypt of the Meswest ancestry. Sheikh was the son of Nimrod, a great chief of Ma. Where we remember that we used to call our mothers call us, or we used to call our mothers Ma, or Mama?
Mm-hmm. I still do. I still do.
I still call Mama, my mother Ma.
I said Mom.
You know what I'm saying? I even call my sister
right
Ma.
Me too. Yeah.
That's where it comes from. Mama.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? It says a great chief of Ma and the wife of Tesna, a daughter of the great chief of the Ma, herself, and he was presumed to be the Sheikh mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, and exploits are carved on the Bubasite portal at Karnak. Let's go a little further. Okay, let's look up Baz, because the Bubasite dynasty, as we just read here, mind you, it says that, but the timeline has recently been revised downward by a few years to 943 to 922. Now, mind you, this king, switching the king ruled from 943, right? Now, King Edgar the People, the first king of England, was born in the year 943. Now, it says the spirit of Christ incarnates what? Every 1,000 years. So from 943 BC to 943 AD is 1,000 years, right? So now, I was born in the year 1975. So from 975 to 1970 is short 5 years from 1,000 years. Almost 1,000 years. All right? So it says that, okay, so we read that the first king from 943 22nd dynasty, it says he was a Berber. You see that? It says Tamazin. Tamazin is a name for the, let's go back here. I want to quote myself. Jefferson the first 22nd dynasty identified in the Hebrew Bible. It was a Libyan. We know a Libyan is associated with Berbers. Libyan Berbers. This is why you get the crescent and the star. Okay, so now let's look up. Let's look up the Berber flag, because we know that the Berber year is celebrated what? My birthday, January the 14th. Now let's look at the flag of the Berber flag. Now, mind you, in the Middle Ages, they didn't have flags back then. They had coats of arms. And I just showed you the coats of arms of the Berbers. There was a chevron with 3 fleur-de-lises in it, and fleur-de-lises are associated with the House of God, which the so-called Roman Empire created under Clovis I, said he was a part of it, but it clearly said the Merovingian dynasty was not descendants of God, there was no evidence to support it. So it says the Berber flag is a flag that has been adopted for the Berbers and is currently used Berbers activists in 10 African countries. The flag was inaugurated in forgive me for saying the name wrong, Awadia, a town in Kabylia, situated in Tiza. I'm going to skip that because I ain't going to be able to pronounce. Let's go to the history. I was born January the 14th, 1970. Now, the Berber New Year is called Yen goes all the way back to the 22nd dynasty, which was founded by Sheikh II. Sheikh II was part of the Bubasite dynasty that go back to Baz, the cat. It switched from a cat in the Middle Ages, it became a lion. This is why you see a lion on the family crest and coat of arms back in England, because it switched from that to from a cat. Now, if you notice, Baz, the cat named Baz, was the black cat. Her consort was Ra, right, with the sun god, right. So the word remember, R-A-M-E-N-B-E-R. If you read from left to right, the first part of the word is ber, which is symbolic of fruit, right? The middle part, M-E-N, means water. And the first part means rock, right? So without the sun, without the fruit, it's born from plant being watered, right? But it won't grow without sunlight. And it said that Ra rose from what? Primordial water. Because water is the only thing that goes back home. It goes from solid, liquid, gas, to an ether. You know what I'm saying? So we are etheric beings. We are incarnating back again to get this stuff right. You're constantly incarnating in the physical realm to manifest. On the high, it's like a rainbow. If you look at the rainbow on the Skittles commercial, you see a Jamaican sitting in a chair weaning a giraffe, and he's sucking from the rainbow. right? The rainbow is frequency. The lowest being radio wave, highest being gamma rays. It's like a channel, a TV station. So you got to turn on to the right channel, because you ain't on the right frequency, you're going to miss the message. You remember the movie Knowing, with Nicolas Cage? When the son, his name was called, his son was called Caleb. That's the son called Caleb. His father was an astronomer. His family were Christians, but they were not practicing true Christian with the birth history. So you notice at the end of the movie, the ships came back called Sams, and when they went back, because you notice that the beings switched from physical beings to etheric beings, because this Earth's gonna play out. It's gonna play out. It's gonna go from physical to non-physical. So if your body's not in the right frequency, you're not gonna be able to go home. And before I end this lecture, remember you tell this manifestation I had a dream in lieu of me resurrecting as the Son of Man, which actually happened. So make sure I